The club is actually 100 years old. Started off as a 9-hole golf course originally, then in 1974 I think it was, they got given or donated some more land down the sort of the northern end, and they made it into 18 holes. Back then Peter Thompson basically designed an 18-hole routing for them. Extremely popular, in a great location, a great strong membership. They've been on the forefront too on like leading up some water initiatives and capturing stormwater and building dams, investing money into infrastructure. So for the club getting forward, they've sort of sustainable, made sure we protected wetlands and enhanced the natural beauty of this area, which is a credit to them all. So back, they used to use bore water for greens, but that sort of went salty, I think in the early 70s. So then they went to basically straight town water for greens. So then they used to basically pump in here, pump into these tanks, and from these tanks out on the course. So their watering was limited to whatever these tanks held. And then after that, they basically plumbed straight into the main lines with the piping. So that sort of made these tanks redundant. But so they sat here for quite a number of years. When South East Water basically told us to stop, limit the amount of water, and they put on restrictions, we thought and basically become more self-sufficient. So we had to think about what we were doing. So we did a bit of a calculation of how much water we were getting from that area. So we worked out we could harvest enough sort of town water to get us through a whole season, maybe more, and the excess flow be used on fairways, be good enough for the fairways. But these tanks perform a vital role in that they basically hold the water before it's getting pumped out. And from these tanks, I've got sensors in there that sense the quality of the water and give me real-time access on the computer, so I can sort of see where these levels are at. Basically, upon that, I also get a test done at a water test, a laboratory test, to make sure it's all good. But so far, yeah, they serve a great purpose for us. Yeah, so from down there, the water comes through. When the water comes down, it's sent straight away, because the water down here is alkaline, because it's an alkaline sea environment. So therefore, and that will vary from how much rainfall there's been lately, and that's so it fluctuates up and down. So therefore, we have to inject sort of an acid, basically to lower the pH. So we normally set it for about 6.5, just a little bit lower than sort of 7. And that sort of, with the greens being a little bit alkaline too, makes all the soil tests that I get done come out as basically as pH neutral. So for grass growing, I look at everything, that's water going in and how our soil's reacting. So every year we've worked out that we've got our sort of a slightly acidic water with our alkaline greens, and it basically works in harmony. So they're both working too. So I'm marrying a reclaimed stormwater with the water we're putting through here. Because the water's a little bit hard, we inject a wetting agent, which is dosed accordingly how much water's going through. Over on the wall there is basically the brains of the unit, where it basically relays the signal back to my office about how salty the water is, where it's at, calling on the dams, transfer pumps and that sort of thing. So that's all contained in here, but all the information is sent back to my office via maxi cable. And you're basically your filtration system and basically a Rainbird pumping station. So it's all Rainbird from sprinkler head right through to our monitoring system. Right, so basically this is a classic example of just a little bit of power that's hanging around too long. Probably from the like I said before, the club basically being a 2-grass course, but now keeping it as a pure stand of cooch, we do get the odd little pocket of resistance sort of power, whether it's genetic and hasn't quite been knocked out properly enough. So it's certainly an area I want to work on with Bayer and maybe some tribute and doing some trial work here and trying to unlock a few of the keys about knocking this out, which is
Well, it'd be great if. Be great if we could knock it out for good, because as you were saying before, every year after year it comes up. Particularly bad or a cool spring, so it's.
So everything's in its favour to grow. We haven't any heat yet to really put any stress on it and knock it out. So it's an area I'm really keen to work on. And there's other areas of other parts of the fairways that are probably like this too, that have got a little bit of remnant power hanging around. What we have here is one of our natural lagoons. It's basically a salty brackish lagoon. Been here for many hundreds of years. Home of a lot of native birds, home from a migratory bird from China that's protected. It's actually under a national treaty of protection, so we've got to make sure we maintain its habitat. Also habitat to a lot of native frogs and a native turtle that walks around the course every now and again looking for new places to lay its eggs. So we class them as a real asset to us. They're a great feature, home for a lot of natural wildlife that's still existing here over many hundreds of years. So we're very careful of where we spray, what we spray, how close we get to these sort of areas, and we don't really want to use any insecticide that's going to harm these areas. So that's what's important to us, and that's what we do. They're in pretty good health. There's a lot of frog activity, which means the environment is being looked after. Part of what we've done here in terms of our work is basically revegetate a lot of the course, and the requirement is to basically put back more native vegetation than you take away. So part of that, we engaged a local nurseryman to propagate seed stock, tube stock for us, basically to revegetate the course with. And one thing that's been a real success is revegetation using basically seed stock from around like the natural lagoons, the natural areas. So say like this spiny rush, this was all propagated by seed in the nursery and replanted here about a year or so later. Other things like Banksia trees, Moonas, all the other native trees we've got down here, they were basically taken from seed from this actual site. Propagated, made into tube stock, and we've replanted tens of thousands of tube stock we've done. But as you can see, they've flourished very well down here because they're used to the area, and they sort of continue that theme on of the sort of the natural wetland coming across.